On the other end of our phone line this morning is a gentleman from Florida, and I'd like to tell you he's an author, and I can do that, but he's so much more. He's a model, he's a performer, he's a cook, he's been involved in bodybuilding for years. But we're going to start off this morning talking about his latest book that he came out with through Indigo River Publishing, and he goes by the name Likewise. Good morning, Likewise. How are you today?
Good morning to you as well.
You doing okay down in Florida these days?
Oh, yes, it is. Beautiful weather today. No complaints from me.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with Florida in terms of weather. It's always nice. Yeah, you get an occasional storm, but you can deal with that because you don't get snow or ice either, right?
Right.
Well, you wrote a book. I want to hear a lot about this today, and I think our listeners will be interested as well. It's entitled Ambitious, and it's on the cover. It says, "One Man's Journey to Conquer the Darkness of Dyslexia." So maybe just take us through what dyslexia is all about, some of the things that you went through, and how you overcame it to the point you wrote this book.
Well, I overcame it by making up games when I was about 12 years old. Mm-hmm. It started there when I said to myself, I'm not a failure. I can do this. Mm-hmm. Even though my parents, mom and dad, has put a lot of restraints on me, pushing me to do certain things, I found myself in a world where I had to figure out how to maneuver things, find the gifts within myself, and push forward. Well, I've been able to do that. Mm-hmm. And with some of it started with a game called The Letter Hunt. Okay. And I wrote down words out of a book that I knew, and I hid them in my home, my parents' house, and then I went around looking for the number. But the key to it was keep that you're looking for a letter, like, the word cat. Okay. You would write it down. Mm-hmm. You would keep it in your head while you looked around for it. And the first thing you thought is cat, cat, cat. And then once you would find it, you would say C-A-T. Mm-hmm. So I started that. Some of my family would join in. Okay. And it was a great game. So that helped me a lot as well. And over the years, I just taught myself by doing various things as going to GED at colleges and things of that nature and learned to read programs. And it just went from there. And I figured out ways to maneuver around what I didn't have. Mm-hmm. By doing that, I went to this one school. See, I didn't even know at the time that I was dyslexic. Right. I didn't find that out till later years. Sure. And then I found out by asking a teacher, and she said we could send for your transcript. And then when they said transcript, I was just surprised what they had in the transcript about me learning. So, and at that time, I just figured out a way to do things to satisfy myself and the other gifts that I had, what I could use for my benefit. And so it brought out my strengths, and that's how I came up with but I modeled and bodybuilt and where I was strong at. Okay. So, and I have to say, it's been quite the experience, but to overcome the dyslexia part, I had to figure out how to do things ahead of time. Like if I had to take a test, an average person probably could study in a week. Well, I had to take 2 to 2.5 weeks. Oh, sure, yeah. If someone gave me an address and it was in a local area where I lived, I would go look for it the day before. Mm-hmm. Or I would take a tape recorder when I was talking to someone, and I would record down the directions or the questions, things of that nature, and how to function in society and still be a good Samaritan without hurting other people because of my own afflictions.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Now, maybe you can tell our listeners, because not everybody knows exactly what this is. What is dyslexia, and what exactly did you go through? What were some of the stumbling blocks?
Dyslexia is when you see numbers backwards and words backwards. And they jumble around. If you want to experience it for yourself, it's called the eye-nose game. It's in the book. Look down at your nose when you're looking at a pencil or you're looking at a person. And imagine a dyslexic person having to walk around like that the rest of their life.
Sure.
When you play the eye-nose game, you see 2 or 3 pencils jumping from one end to the other. When you look down at the sharpness of your nose, you will see 2 people instead of 1. It looks like they're trading places.
Sure.
And they're not.
Okay.
That's, and it's something to deal with. But the good part, as you stare at it long enough, it kind of balances itself out. But it doesn't do it all at once. You have to put that extra amount of focus in on it.
Okay, now when you mentioned earlier the word cat, so if I were to write down the word cat for you, C-A-T, what would you actually see?
I would see T jumping in front of the C and the C jumping in front of the A, kind of like that.
Okay.
Going back and forth.
And when you were a kid, they didn't notice this? You weren't diagnosed as this when you were a child in school?
Well, they brought in and they test me, but I don't think at that time, I guess, dyslexic, no, they didn't. They test me, and all I know is they put me in a class where there were slow learning students. I've never heard the word dyslexic in any way.
Yeah. And you weren't necessarily a slow learner. You just had an issue with recognizing numbers and letters in the correct order.
Well, yes,
Yeah.
I would consider myself as, yes, pretty much. Because of the words wouldn't be still, it causes you to have other issues what you wouldn't have. Like, if you can't keep the letters still long enough, you could spell the wrong thing. If you
Sure.
can't keep
Yeah.
the numbers clear, still enough, you could give them the wrong number. So you have to keep your focus on like 1 through 10.
Mm.
I count 1 through 10 right now without writing it down. It's okay. But once I go to write it down, I have to really focus because the 8 may look like a B.
Okay. Yeah, I got you.
May look like a 6.
Now, you mentioned something about jumping around. So the letters actually jump around to your eyes. They don't just, like cat would be maybe TCA or something, but they would also move around?
Yes, sir. They move around like trading places.
Yeah.
And sometimes it gets to be frustrating, and sometimes, hey, if you focus long enough on it, it straightens itself out, and all is gone. All is great.
Okay, yeah, that's very difficult to overcome. And I worked with a lot of kids who had that, and we always tried to diagnose them early and then get them the intervention right away, because otherwise, you're doing what you did. You had to come up with your own games. I did want to read off of your website the description of the book. The book is called Ambitious: One Man's Journey to Conquer the Darkness of Dyslexia. This book is an autobiography that chronicles the life of a remarkable man who overcame his learning disabilities and other major difficulties to become a highly respected and successful adult. And we'll read the rest of it in a little bit, but that has to make you feel pretty good. And I'm guessing you've served as a role model to others. Like, yeah, I had some issues when I was a kid because I had dyslexia, but look what I've become today. Have you gotten some feedback in that area from other people in your life?
Yes, I have, and it's been great feedback from it. I just want to help.
Yeah.
I want to help men, women, and children to understand that they're not stupid. They're just different, and sometimes different can be a good thing.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that you're not a failure.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
and it's just been great to hear the feedback of people saying, hey, your book is awesome. My uncle or my sister or my brother has the same things, and your book tells how they went through. Like this one young man, I was in a shop recently. He was a construction worker, but he did everything backwards. Did you know he even did measurements backwards on the construction site?
Wow.
Everything he did backwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now today, he figured out a way to get around it. And he told me his story. He said everyone was laughing at him, but that's the way he knew how to function in life. And
Yeah.
now today, he owns 3 businesses, and I just like, that's wonderful. And he was one of the ones that bought the book.
So this never really goes away, does it? Dyslexia never really goes away. You just learn how to deal with it. Is that right?
Yes, it never really goes away. You just build yourself a program that works for you.
Yeah. All right. Well, on your website, there's a description from a lady. It looks like Dr. Lori Rips.
Right.
She's talking about your book. She said, by bearing his deepest and darkest secrets, likewise teaches us that there is much to learn from our challenges and that there is hope and strength in adversity. And I think that's a great message for all. I really do. And obviously, Lori Rips, Dr. Rips, agrees with that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Just want to remind our listeners, you're listening to Dr. Paul's Family Talk on Impact Radio USA. This morning, we're talking to author, chef, bodybuilder, performer. Likewise, and we've been talking about his book, Ambitious, which is out in the market. And likewise, how can people get a hold of your book, Ambitious, today? How can they purchase your book?
Right now, they can go on Barnes & Noble's, Books A Million, online, and to Go River Publishing, also on there, and on my website, www.likewiseoriginal.com.
Yeah, likewiseoriginal.com. All right, very good. Well, you do some other things in your life, too. It's not you just didn't sit around and overcome dyslexia and write a book. I mean, you were doing a whole bunch of other stuff, too. Tell us about the culinary arts thing. What's going on with that?
Well, the culinary arts thing came about when I'm just watching my mom cook, and I'm at the table, and I thought, wow, I could do that, and that looks easy to me, I thought.
Yeah.
At the same time, because if you read my book, at times we didn't have certain things. So anyway, and I got into culinary arts then, and then I graduated from high school, and then I went into this place called Job Corps. Mm-hmm. And when I got into the Job Corps, I got into the cooking program. It was vocational and education. They taught you classroom in the morning, and in the evening you went to vocational where you learned to cook.
Right.
And I graduated from there, and at the time, they called me to the front office. We called this person the center director. He asked to speak to me. And I said, sure. And he said, what do you think about us offering you a job? I hear you're good with the kids on campus. I hear that, and you're good in the kitchen. And so what do you think about it? I said, that would be great. He said, we have to give other people a chance. And he told me about having a couple of military people put in applications, but he says, we'll see. So I left, and then the next thing you know, I graduated from there, thank God.
Wow.
It's unbelievable that I graduated and my certificate, and then I came home. A few weeks later, they called me to work for the United States Armed Service. Imagine that.
Yeah, that's very good. Yeah.
You know, going to be cooking for at least a total of 125 to 150 people, and you're going to be the supervisor of that kitchen, and you're going to be an instructor for kids.
Wow, that is remarkable.
Imagine that.
Yeah,
so
very good.
And it was great, and I got there, and I got to stay on campus in housing, and I had the morning shift and sometimes the evening shift, and sometimes I had to take other people's shifts. But I just want to shed some light on this.
Sure.
With me making the schedule, doing inventory and all that, I always had to stay 3 steps ahead.
Right.
All the time.
Yeah.
But it still was worth it. And the only reason I resigned from that post is because of the fact that I felt like I was ripping the kids off.
Well, I mean, why would you say that? I mean, you're an expert in culinary arts. You're obviously a role model. So, I mean,
I was. I just felt like these kids are looking up to me, and they tell me things are going on in their lives back home, and and you're like nurturing them by telling them it's going to be okay and blah, blah, blah. And then you had to also be a cook instructor as well. And I just was so embarrassed inside and shame. I just thought that for some reason. Maybe, I don't know why, it just had a hold on me. It was just an embarrassment to me.
Yeah.
I felt like it was. But all in all, it was a great experience. And at the end of the day, I was glad I had that experience of even going.
Good. Now, do you still work in the culinary arts at all, or is it something you hope to get back to someday, or how does that work for you?
I do it for myself. You know, I might do a dish or something like that, or do something for someone. But as of a job title, no, not right now.
Okay, and I saw something else on your website. You're certified. You're certified in dance. Does that mean as a dancer, as an instructor, or both?
Now, I love dancing. I love, period. Dancing is my passion. I never feel. I feel energized when I do that.
Yeah.
There's no shame in that game.
You got that right. You got that right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're a certified dance instructor, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Wow. And do you work in that field right now, or are you too busy doing other things, or?
I'm too busy working on other things.
Yeah.
But I do occasionally, if someone asks me, show me a couple of steps or something, I kind of give them a little strategy around something, or something of that nature. But as far as it being a goal right now, I kind of put it on the back burner. At one point, I did own my own dance studio, and that was great. I will tell you, Dr. Paul, it's been quite the experience in being dyslexic and experiencing what is on the inside of you, and that's a gift that you can bring forward, something that says this is a degree. This will take me somewhere. I'm not a failure because I can't write this or I can't read this. You have to go and deep inside and find something within what you're good at with your hands or a talent.
Yeah, very much so. Well, what do you do? What do you do in that particular field? Then, do you dance professionally? Is that something? Are you part of a dance group?
No, I dance, just teaching myself and teaching others. And I have went and did a couple of professional shows, but it's just one of those things where I really love doing for myself. Mm-hmm. But I have done professional, and it's great. Like, I got a professional thing coming up now I'm going to do, but, I love doing it all.
Yeah, I can tell. Now, you also work as a model. What kind of things do you model?
Tuxedos mostly. Some kind, tuxedos and casual wear sometimes.
Okay, for magazines or newspapers, or how does that work?
It's for bridal shower shows.
Okay.
Some for magazines. Some has been in a magazine. I've probably been in about 12 magazines.
Wow, good for you. That's really good to hear. Yeah, the other thing I wanted to get into before we get back to your book is you're into bodybuilding to the point you actually participate in bodybuilding shows, right?
Yes, I participated. I loved it. I just got approached one day jogging back to the gym, and a young man just approached me and said, "Hey, you want to try a bodybuilding show?" And I looked at him and I said, "Sure, I'll try one." And I did, and I won. So I went.
Whoa, all right.
And I just been doing it ever since. It wasn't something I was really looking for to do. Yeah. I was just approached, and I said yes, and it went from there. And like I said, it's fun. And I only did drug-free shows.
Good. Yeah.
It was all
very smart.
Do one where you couldn't be tested in any way.
Yeah. Oh, that's very smart. Listen to Dr. Paul's Family Talk on Impact Radio USA. This morning we're talking to, I'm going to call him Mr. Everything, because he does everything, including writing a book. Goes by the name Likewise, and we want you to get his newest book, Ambitious. And before we talk a little bit more about bodybuilding and get back to your book, tell our listeners, likewise, how they can get a hold of your book, Ambitious, today.
you can get a hold of the book by Books A Million, Barnes and Nobles, and likewise Original, and Integral River Publishing. And I guarantee you won't be disappointed by having this book on your shelf, or get it for a friend today.
Yeah, your website has a lot of information. It's very well done, very professionally laid out. So I invite people to check that out right now, likewiseoriginal.com. Now, talk about the bodybuilding again a little bit more. What does that involve? I've talked to some people in that particular industry, and basically they're working out all the time. They're always hitting the gym. Is that what you found too?
Yes, I found that 3 days a week, alternate days of working out for no more than an hour and a half, and it is a lot of dedication. A lot of eating the right foods. And this is the strangest thing. A person that's dyslexic, let me tell you a couple of things I did. I went and got bodybuilding books, got words out of the bodybuilding book, and cut them up and made certain things out of them. Like if I had learned, say for instance, you said, likewise, show me calf as a judge. Mm-hmm. You have to go get the book, find the name calf in there, cut it out, and make my own everything.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. Okay.
Just what I'm trying to tell you here is, coming from a dyslexic point of view, it wasn't easy for me, but it was fun. And I loved it, so I stayed at it. And it was great success for me. I will say that.
Well, especially, it has to. I think it always feels really good when we conquer something in life that's difficult for us, whatever it might be. Could be a physical issue, mental issue, money issue, whatever. And somehow you found your own way to conquer this whole dyslexia thing. I mean, look at you now. You're very successful in everything that you do.
Well, thank you for that vote of confidence. Yeah. But it's still room to grow. This is my motto, and I always say this to keep me humble. I'm a nobody trying to be a somebody.
Yep, that's right. Back to your description on your website, I wanted to get back to. It says, likewise, always found creative solutions in order to grow and succeed. It was his desire to share these experiences with others in hopes that he could help them realize their potential no matter what challenges they face. Maybe tell us some of the feedback you've gotten from people who have read your book.
Well, some of the feedback is, just say a young man sent me an email saying that he was getting ready to go through a divorce, and he happened to find my dyslexic book, and he didn't know how it could help him. And when he started reading through it, he found now so many different things in the book. His email was, first of all, I wasn't a Christian, and now I am. Okay. And now I know how to reach out to my children. And he had a child that was dyslexic, diagnosed. Let's see, and I got an email from a young lady. She was saying that she was at the top of her class, but she's dyslexic with numbers. And she happened to run across my book, and she bought it. And just the emotional part of the book, I don't know how, but the emotional part of my book, just talking about my daughter that passed away that's in the book, somehow it gave her the strength. I know this book, I don't know how it happened, but that's the feedback she gave to me. And now she's saying that numbers, and she's found solutions. She got herself a counselor, and she's got herself a tutor now, and she don't think it's nothing she can't conquer. Just in that one section.
And she got all that from reading your book, you're saying?
Yes, just from reading the book. And yes, through me as well. But it's feedback, and I'm glad, and I'm happy for her.
Well, that has to make you feel pretty good that you've, just by writing the book, you've helped people out. That always makes people feel good, right?
Yes, it does. And you know what, Dr. Paul? I don't just feel good for me. I feel good for them. I feel good for them because they found something within this book to bring them up in the world.
Yeah, that's great.
hurting someone else. You know, when we go through things in our life, we don't prioritize them. We look at them all at one time, and the mountain is so big to conquer. But if we learn to compromise and learn to prioritize and conquer one at the time, I guarantee you, we all would be more successful.
That's for sure. Now, are you working on anything else right now? Do you have another book in mind, or what do you see as your writing career? What's going on there?
I see 3 more books in the making. I see that I want to have a TV show. I'm trying to work on that. It's so many things, and I want to speak at Dyslexia Institute. I just want to give back.
Yeah.
I want to give back because people have been great to me before they found out about this dyslexic problem, and they've even become even better.
Mm-hmm.
It's just wonderful.
Yeah. Well, you've done great work. I mean, you took something that is very difficult, dyslexia, found your own way to overcome it, and you're doing really well. You're successful in, as a performer, as a dancer, as a model, as a bodybuilder, and of course as a chef, and now as an author with your newest book, Ambitious, which is out through Indigo River Publishing. And likewise, it goes by the name Likewise. Tell our listeners again before we go for the segment how they can get a hold of your book today.
You can get a hold of this book at Indigo River Publishing, Barnes & Nobles, Books A Million, and all local bookstores that are not under that name, Barnes & Nobles, and you can also get it through likewiseoriginal.com.
All right. We encourage people to check that out. The book is called Ambitious, One Man's Journey to Conquer the Darkness of Dyslexia. And likewise, it's been great to talk to you today. You're highly inspirational. You have a great story to tell, and you're telling it. We appreciate that. So keep doing what you're doing. You've been highly successful. Just keep on doing it.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Paul. And I am glad to be here today talking with you. And it's just been a wonderful experience for me. And you keep on what you're doing as well.
I will do that. Thank you very much. Again, Likewise, he goes by the name Likewise. Check out his new book, Ambitious. And likewise, keep in touch. As new books come out, give us a call. We'll get you on.
I will do just that. Thank you very much.
All right, sir. Likewise, you have a great day, and we'll talk again soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.